Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. We continue to speak about Bootstrap 5 and in this lesson we will make this about section. But the most important part of this section is we will talk about layout and grid system of Bootstrap 5. Let's go back our code editor and let's open our live site. Here is our project. To simulate Bootstrap 5 layout, I will write some code with background colors. Actually, with Visual Studio Code, you can write HTML markup with emmet style. But to be honest, most of the time I am forgetting to use emmet. So I will create a new section with ID, about, and inside of this section, I will create a div class container. Inside of this container class, I will write a row class, row, and inside of this row class, I will write column class, but 3 column class. So I will use it asterisk signs and 3. And when you click the tab button on the keyboard, easily you can create a HTML markup. Now I will give some style for row. I will add style with minimum height is 300 pixel. And for the columns, I will write again style with background color. This one will be, let's say, red. The other ones will be blue. And the last one will be yellow. This is our sample HTML markup, and with this markup we can speak about the layout and grid properties of Bootstrap 5. Before beginning, I want to also underline this. When you work with Bootstrap, please always open the documentation because we will use this documentation for our reference. And let's go from documentation, and here is the layout section. In layout section we will talk about breakpoints, containers, grid, and columns. Of course, it is not possible to talk about everything about layouts, but I will mention as many topics as I can. Let's go back our code and let's start with containers. Containers are most basic layout element in Bootstrap, and with them we can center our content, make bigger our project screen. And as you can see, we are using container class, and with this container class we put our content in the middle of page, and you can see on the screen there is spaces at left and right. If you don't want these spaces, you can use the container fluid class, container-fluid, save the file, and as you can see now inside of our project there is no space at left and right. With container fluid class you can cover all width of our screen. In Bootstrap we use predefinite classes for creating fast responsive layouts, and row and column classes are the most important ones. For example, with row and column classes we can divide our screen rows and columns. Here, as you can see, we have 1 row and 3 column. For this reason we used 1 row class and 3 column class. If you use just col class inside of a row, you will divide this row equal parts. For example, here we use 3 col classes, and this means dividing this row 3 equal parts. Change this again from container fluid to container, save the file. Here, as you can see, we have 3 columns, and these columns are equal with each other. In Bootstrap layout, you can also give numbers to columns, and one Bootstrap row class has 12 columns. What I mean, for example, let's make this col-2, and this one let's make col-3. 2 plus 3 makes 5, so for the last column we have 7 columns because, as I said, one row has 12 columns in Bootstrap by default. Save the file, and as you can see on the screen, 2 units red, 3 units blue, and the other part, which is 7 units, now it's yellow. We can use also col4, and col4 totally makes 12 column, and col4 are equals with each other. When we save the file, as you can see, all columns are now equal. We can also use call classes with call number classes. What I mean, let's make this call 2 again, and the other one we can use just call. Before saving the file, I want to explain what I said. One row has 12 columns by default. So 2 columns here, and 12 minus 2 makes 10 column. 10 columns will be shared equally with this column. So this will be 5 units and this will be 5 units. Let's save the file, and as you can see on the screen, 2 units for red, 5 units for blue, and 5 units for yellow. Our next scenario is we can control visual order of our columns. What I mean, let's change this again with call, save the file, and now all of our columns are same, but I can change the order of this column. For example, let's make this yellow one, and I am adding an order class with number order 1, and for blue I will add order 2. Save the file. Now as you can see, the red one comes first because this red one doesn't have any order with number class, so it will come to first, and then the order class which has the lowest number comes before. For this reason, order 1 is before order 2. For ordering, you can also use order first and order last class. For example, let's use this one. For our yellow class, I add order first, and for red one, I will add order, and save the file. As you can see, our yellow class comes first because it has order first, and our red column class comes last because it has an order last class. But be careful here, order first coming first. This time no order class is stay in the middle of our row, not first. Our next scenario is offsetting. We can use offset classes to give some spaces to the beginning. How can we show that? Let's erase these last 2 calls, and for first call I will use call 4 class and save the file. As you can see, in the beginning we have call 4 class, but I want to put, let's say, 3 units spaces at the beginning. For this I will add offset classes, offset -3, save the file, and as you can see I give 3 unit spaces at the beginning. And this is our offset class. Let's go back with Ctrl Z, and let's make this everything at the beginning. Our next important Bootstrap layout concept is breakpoints. For this, let's open the documentation. In the documentation, in layouts, let's open breakpoints. Breakpoints actually are triggers in Bootstrap for how layout changes across the viewport size. Bootstrap has 6 breakpoints, as you can see on the screen: extra large, large, medium, small, and X small. The important part is these dimensions. For example, extra large has dimension 1400, extra large 1200, medium has 768 pixel. These dimensions are the trigger points of our breakpoints. What I mean, let's see in action why breakpoints are so important. Let's go back our code. Let's open our live site. Now let's change our call classes to call-ld-6. This means let's make bigger our screen, and to see screen dimension, I click F12. Here at right corner you can see the screen dimensions. Let's go back our documentation, and our documentation says LG class has dimension 992. So let's go back our screen, and here this call LG6 means when you reach 992 pixel and high, this column has 6 unit calls. If the width is less than 992 pixel, this column will cover all row and behave it has 12 units column. For example, now we have around 1000 pixel, So our call LG6 class has 6 units. But when we comes below the 992 and now I have around 970, these columns behave like they have 12 column units. Let's make another example, and this time let's use call MD4 for all our columns. We have MD breakpoints. Let's go back our documentation. Breakpoint dimension is 768. What does it mean? This means when you reach 768 pixel and high, this column behaves. This time it has 4 units. Below than 768, this column behaves like it has 12 column. Let's see in action. Now we have 970, which is bigger than 768, which is the breakpoint of MD class. Now our column has 4 units, but when I come to below 768, now I am around 750, and these columns behave like they have 12 units. We can also use these breakpoint classes together. Let's go back our code and let's add here again call LG6 classes, which means that when your screen is bigger than LG breakpoint, which is 992, behave it has like 6 units. As you can see, I am bigger than 992. Now I am coming smaller screen, smaller. Look, I am below 992, but also my screen size is higher than 768. For this reason, it using these MD classes, and MD class says that it has to have 4 units. Now our column, all of them are 4 units. And when I come back, again below the 768, our columns behaves like they have 12 units and they are covering all the row. I hope it makes sense, but if you have some hesitations, we will again talk about this topic in the future. And this is the brief introduction to Bootstrap 5 layout and grid system. Let's go back our project. And for our project, we need 2 columns. So I erase this one, and for this just we have call columns. Okay, now we can continue our project. Let's go to finished version of our project, and here we will do this about section. As you can see, about sections has 1 row and 2 columns, but be careful, this column has 8 units and this column has 4 units. Same also below, this column has 4 units and this column has 8 units. Also we have a title at the beginning. Let's go back our code. Let's open our live site. First I want to put our title inside the container but not inside the row. I will use h2 tag. Class will be display5, and text color will be danger, so I will use text danger class. Also I want some margin buttons, so I will use mb-5 bootstrap classes and close the tag. Here I will write who we are. For our first column I will add some libsub text. Let's copy this libsub text from finished version. Let's copy this text with Ctrl C, and inside of our first column I will put this text, but let's go back our finished version. As you can see, our text is in the middle of this green area. For this reason, to make this I will add a custom div. So I came here and inside of our first column I will add a custom div. I open this div and I close it. Let's add here p tag with class lead, and now let's paste our text with Ctrl V, save. Now as you can see, our text is here, but this column will have 8 units, so this column will be call-8 and the other part will be call-8. 4. Now I will add our image to our second column. I came here. I will add image tag img with source attribute. This image will be / in img folder, and I will use this company.jpg and also with the classes img-fluid. I want that my image behave responsive. Save the file, and here is our first row. I will copy this row and I paste with Ctrl V, save the file. But for our second row, I want that this second column comes first. So I am coming here, and for our second column, I am adding order dash first and save the file, not order, this will be order. Save the file, and as you can see now, for our second row, second column comes first because we added this order first. Now our HTML markup more or less finished. We have to add some classes. Let's come here. First, this will be display 5, not display T, display 5, and then later for this custom div we have to add some classes to put our text in the middle of this row. Let's go back and add these classes. Classes will be d-flex and h-100 flex dash column, and finally justify content center. Save the file and let's make our screen bigger. Here, as you can see, our text now in the middle of our row. Let's make this smaller again. Copy these classes and paste for here. And for our first row, I want to add some margin buttons, so I add nb-3 classes. For our text columns, I want to add green background color, so I will use bg.light classes, and also I will add this class for other column here. I will also add here bg light. Save the file and let's look our live site. Our live site is here, and as you can see here, there is some paddings. To erase these paddings, I will add p0 classes to our image column. So I came here, I add this one p-0, and also I add these classes to this one p-0. Save the file, and here's our project. Let's make full screen. Our about section is finished, and finally I want to add some paddings this section to the top and to the bottom. For this, let's go back our style. I will create a CSS class with name of generic. Generic class has to be padding property and will be 100 pixel from top and bottom and 0 from left and right, and save. And I will copy this generic and I will add this generic class to our section. Here I am coming our section ID and I am adding our generic class here, generic, and save the file. Let's go back our project, and now as you can see, we have 100 pixel padding at the top and at the bottom of our section. This is the end of our lesson. In the next lesson, we will see each other.